coming up on Marriage Today with Jimmy and Karen.
When men hear the great news that their wife's body belongs to them, they have this thought: sex! Sex! I'm going to get all the sex that I want. It's heaven. Okay. And then they think, and she's going to cook and clean and do all the other things that I like. But the big thing is sex. Now, women are a little different. When they hear my husband's body belongs to me, it's like, I have got so much toting and fetching for you to do. Everywhere you go when it comes to relationships, people are searching for one thing: intimacy. Marriage is the most intimate human relationship we can experience with another person. We're going to discuss two key areas, physical and spiritual intimacy, on today's program. You can achieve a greater level of physical satisfaction when you and your spouse have spiritual closeness. In today's message, I'll be using an acronym, INVEST. Let's begin with discussing spiritual intimacy. A sense of unity and mutual commitment to God's purpose for our lives and marriage, and a respect for the special dreams of each other's hearts. Let me go through the invest now. Intimacy, spiritual intimacy, necessitates number one value. I value God's purpose for your life and the dreams of your heart. And I want you to listen to me for just a minute. We can't get there without each other. God looked at Adam and said, it's not good that this man would be alone. Adam could not fulfill God's plan for his life without a woman. And then in Ephesians 5, it says of men that we're supposed to lay our lives down for our wives as we nourish and cherish them. The words nourish and cherish are agricultural terms. Nourish means to feed to maturity, and cherish means to keep warm, to keep frost from killing it. The word husband is a farmer word. It means I'm growing you. What am I growing you to do? To be who God made you to be. The best marriages where you have a marriage where the woman understands me being an honoring wife gets him where he's going. I'm here to help God take my husband to the place where God designed him to be. Every husband needs to understand the first most important thing that you have in this life is a commitment to God to bring your wife to her fullest potential. Why did God make you in your mother's womb? That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. If God made you in your mother's womb to be an astrophysicist, that's why I'm here. To be a pastor, to be a stay-at-home mom, to be a worship leader, to be a secretary, to be whatever it is that God made you to become, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you become that. I value God's purpose for your life. Number two is energy. I commit to pursuing God personally and together to find and fulfill God's call on your life and on our marriage. I'm going to work at praying and pursuing God to find why God put us together. And listen, every couple should have a vision retreat. And we have a resource called the Mountaintop of Marriage to help you get away at least once a year for several days and spend several hours a day asking questions like, why did God put us together? Why did God put us together? What is our vision for our children? What is our vision for our finances? What is our vision for our lives? What is our vision for our ministry? When you answer the big questions, the little questions answer themselves. But when you haven't answered the big questions, everything becomes muddled and confused. And you're fighting over little things that don't matter, and you're just kind of wandering through life. I'm going to pray about this. I'm going to pursue God until I find and we find why God put us together. Number three, sacrifice. I sacrifice the desire to only promote myself or worry about myself. When Karen and I got married, I'm confessing, I'm saying I was a male chauvinist pig. I thought that men were better than women. I thought it was all about me. I thought, you know something? God has a great plan for my life, and Karen gets to come along for the ride. And she's here to support me. She's here to cook and clean and to say, yes, sir. And to just thank God she married Mr. Wonderful. That was my exact thought about marriage. I never even considered the fact that she was precious in God's sight and God had a purpose for her life. He has a purpose for us together, but He has a purpose for Karen separately. And my purpose in life is to bring her to her fullest potential. Sacrificially, to give my life up like Jesus, to nourish and cherish her and to bring her to her fullest potential. So I had to sacrifice the selfish desire that I had for it to be just about me and for me to get there and for her to come along for the ride. Trust. I will create an atmosphere where you can share your deepest spiritual desires and dreams and know that they're honored by me. You have a vision inside of your heart. You're created by a great God to be great. You are. You're more precious than you'll ever understand in this life. You'll never understand how precious you are to God. You'll never understand how valuable your life is. You'll never understand it in this life. But you're valuable and you're precious. The devil wants you to believe that you're worthless, that you're dirty, and God can't use you. It's exactly the opposite of the truth. You're precious, you're God's child, and He has a purpose for your life that is absolutely incredible. And God wants to share it with you. And many times He begins to show us things in our hearts. We've been married for 2 weeks. I was 19 years old. I'd been saved we've been married for a week. I'd been saved for 2 weeks when God called me to the ministry. And I was sitting in the backyard of our house, hair down to here, pack of Marlboro cigarettes in my pocket. I was probably smoking one at the moment, I don't know. And I saw a sheet drop down in front of my face. And I saw myself preaching to a multitude of people. And that's when God called me to the ministry. And I remember when I said that to Karen, I said, Karen, something happened to me today. And I saw God, myself preaching to a multitude of people. And I believe God's called me to preach. And from the minute it came out of my mouth, she supported me from that day since. And for that reason, I know that Karen is my safe place. She's the place that I can go and share anything. Now listen to me. Research has proven that our worst fights are on a dream level. That when we're fighting and we're the most bitter and angry and entrenched in a fight, we're actually fighting on a dream level. And here's what it means. You're spending too much money. And the issue isn't just money. I have the dream of living without financial stress. Maybe because of the way that I was raised. Maybe because of just, something that God has called me to or just a personal inclination that I have. I have a dream of not constantly being broke and living on the edge and living in debt. And you're my dream breaker. I have a dream of our children being loved and have their parents present. And you're never here. It's not just an issue of you working too much. You're breaking my dream. You're breaking my dream. Listen to me. In intimate marriages, I'm not your dream breaker, sweetie. I'm your dream maker. Tell me your dream. And I'm here to make your dreams come true. And if your dream is financial security, if your dream is to have loving parents at home, if your dream is to worship together as a couple, your dreams are important to me, and I'm going to work at making your dreams come true, and I'm going to sacrifice my need to be right and for it to be all about me, and I'm going to be the place when God says something to you, or you have a dream roll through your heart that you can come share it with me. Many of our deepest fights are not because of the issue that we're fighting about. It's the larger dream that you're violating in my life. Physical intimacy. Feeling as though your partner's body is your place of pleasure and delight. Closely sharing physical needs and desires and giving yourself physically to serve your spouse. Feeling as though that your partner's body is your place of pleasure and delight. Let's use our acronym. Physical intimacy necessitates, number one, value. I care about your physical needs. Number two, energy. I commit my physical energies to meeting your needs. My body. I commit my body to you. Now, this is 1 Corinthians 7. This is about marriage. This is the Apostle Paul. Listen to this. Verse 3. Let the husband render to his wife the affection due her, and likewise also the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. And likewise, the husband does not have authority over his body, but the wife does. Do not deprive one another except with consent for a time that you may give yourself to fasting and prayer and come together again so that Satan does not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. The Apostle Paul says, when you get married, do you understand that your body becomes the ownership of your spouse? You don't have authority over your body to withhold it from your spouse. but your spouse has authority. This is not a license for abuse. It's a license for use. And what it demonstrates here is how much we share and sacrifice when we get married, and how devastating it is to withdraw your body from your spouse. So in marriage, my spouse's body is mine. That's the way it's supposed to be. To commit our bodies to meeting our spouse's needs. Now, men and women think differently when they think about this. When men hear the great news that their wife's body belongs to them, they have this thought: sex! Sex! I'm going to get all the sex that I want. It's heaven. Okay. And then they think, and she's going to cook and clean and do all the other things that I like. But the big thing is sex. Now, women are a little different. When they hear my husband's body belongs to me, it's like, I have got so much toting and fetching for you to do. The trash, the dishes, the yard, the kids. And then they think about sex, if they think about it at all. And see, in our home, it's a little different. And that is, Karen has never withheld her body from me sexually. Even when our marriage wasn't good, I have never had Karen withhold her body and punish me because of something with sex, using sex as a weapon or as a bargaining chip. It's never happened one time in our relationship that I can ever remember. But when it comes to me, what Karen wants from me, and sometimes it's sex, that when a wife wants sex and her husband doesn't, is the husband should meet his wife's sexual needs because this is her body. But in many cases, what a wife wants from her husband is, hey, there's groceries in the car. Karen will actually call me coming down the street. I've got groceries in the car. It's like, we have a bad connection. What? No, that's my job. That's my job. I make beds. I vacuum. I don't vacuum. I do dishes. I don't cook because of health and safety reasons. But, I mean, I serve her physically. And she loves it. And by the way, when women are asked, when is your husband most sexually attractive to you, number one response is when he's doing housework. When is your husband most sexually attractive to you? When he's doing housework. When he's doing housework. I'm waiting for a man to say amen, but I'm not going to get it. Isn't it interesting the way God made us? So physically, I value your needs, and I'm going to work hard at meeting your needs. And that means sexually, I will not withhold from you, and I will serve you with this body. This body is your place of pleasure and delight. I won't sin, but I'll serve you with this body. Sacrifice. I'll sacrifice other desires and personal comfort to meet your needs. To meet each other's needs, it means sometimes you have to go out of your way, or you have to work, or you have to not be as comfortable or restful as you want to be. And trust, I will create an atmosphere where you can share any request of me physically and know it will be honored and met. I'm your safe place. I'm the place where you can come. Intimacy is why God created marriage. And when God said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother, cleave unto his wife, they two shall become one flesh, and the man and his wife were both naked and not ashamed. It was not a poetic statement at the moment that marriage was created. It was a practical statement to create the environment for intimacy to flourish. The teaching that you just heard is a small part of the full Return to Intimacy series. And we want to put this entire series, the CD series, into your hands for your gift of any amount right now to support us here at Marriage Today. You know, this is a ministry and a mission that goes across America and around the world. We want to be able to come back to you and also go to others. And for your gift of any amount, we'll send you the full series called Return to Intimacy that talks about anger, dominance, fear, how to establish intimacy in your relationship. It's an important teaching. But also for your gift of $90 right now, we'll send you the full DVD series so you can watch it. Maybe as a couple, maybe in a Bible study, maybe in church, or maybe you want to give it to somebody. We'll send you the full 5-part DVD series, Return to Intimacy, along with our one devotional book. The one devotional book is such a neat book because it will take you through 52 different teachings. You can do it once a week in your date night. You know, you can look at it by yourself, individually, or as a couple, whatever, but it helps you to grow in your marriage every week, to have something to sit down and just look over and just remind yourself of certain things in your marriage. The Return to Intimacy series plus the one devotional book, these are powerful resources to help you to grow and have the marriage of your dreams. We want to put these important resources into your hands, and here's how you can get them.
Regardless of your past, you can return to intimacy. In this power-packed teaching series, Jimmy Evans shares the 4 elements of intimacy, how to resolve conflict, the most common issues that destroy marriages, and the secret to restoring and staying in love.
Intimacy means on the inside we're close. It also means complete mutual awareness. It means I know you.
For your gift of any amount, we'll send you the entire 5-part Return to Intimacy series on CD. For your gift of $90 or more, we'll send you the 5-part series on DVD plus the one devotional book, a 52-week couples devotion guide. Embark on a journey that will dramatically increase the intimacy in your relationship like you've never experienced. Whatever your situation, you can return to intimacy.
Well, this program today is on intimacy, you know, physical and spiritual intimacy in marriage. Intimacy is the prize of marriage. It really is why we get married, because it means closeness, you know, inner closeness. And there are different dimensions of intimacy. That's why we're separating these issues of spiritual and physical. Now, we have some questions, Karen, from our viewers, so let me read this to you. It says, Karen, how do I get my husband to understand that I need him to pray with me? How did you get Jimmy to start praying with you? And that's from Betty in Vermont.
That's a good question. Well, I think prayer sometimes is very intimidating for some men, especially to pray with somebody else. Right. I mean, I think as women, most of the time, the letters I get anyway are women are more spiritual than the men, and they want their husbands to be more of the spiritual leader. And so I don't think asking him to pray or expecting him to is fair. But maybe you could start in a different way. Maybe you could just start by reading a devotional together, or, you know, finding a great, easy devotional book. Like there's one called Jesus Calling that's so easy, and that you just read it together. You know, you just sit down and read it. And then out of that, you know, he begins to be more comfortable in talking about spiritual things. You and I used to just discuss Bible stuff. You know, we would read the scriptures, or we would listen to something on the TV, a Christian show, and we would talk about it, you know. And so sometimes that helps, I think, a man to feel more comfortable in opening up in prayer. Yeah. And then the other thing is, you know, once you start praying, you know, let him pray, but don't have expectations that he has to be so perfect. Because it's just like, you know, when I started praying, you know, it's not about how you pray or what you say. It's about the fact that you both are coming together to talk to y'all's best friend, who is God. Yeah. And so I don't know if that would help. But
well, let me say from a male perspective, because I remember that time in our marriage a lot when I didn't want to pray. Mm-hmm. And you wanted me to, and you communicated it, but you did it really well. But it still terrified me. When I got saved, I didn't like Christians. I never liked Christians. I thought they were nerdy, and I liked my friends, and so I didn't. You know, we went to church, but I just thought they were a bunch of nerds, and so you talked me going to Sunday school class one time, and Christians are the most wonderful people on earth. Let me say that. And the friends I grew up with were not good people, and I was deceived, honestly. And so we went to a Sunday school class, and I endured it. Remember sitting there enduring that class, and there may be 30 or 40 people in there. I had just gotten saved. And the teacher in the class looked at me and said, Jimmy, would you mind praying for us? And it's like I blacked out. It was like I just thought, oh my gosh, this is my worst nightmare. I'd never prayed in my life. And the prayers that I had prayed to the Lord, you know, I didn't even know how to pray. Mm-hmm. Well, then, it was terrifying. And I never wanted to go back there for that reason. Mm-hmm. Well, then you would say things to me like, can you pray for the kids before they go to bed? Mm-hmm. And then I remember the day that we began to pray together. Mm-hmm. And it was very, very frightening for me. But what you did was you didn't judge me. Mm-hmm. You didn't push me into it. But you did let me know it's what you wanted. Mm-hmm. Praying over meals, praying with the kids. and also praying at times that we had trouble. And I want to say this now to every man out there. You know, men are interested in sex. You know, I mean, that's a big deal to men, and they say, you know, I really want to have a great sex life. And the world will tell men that the way to have a great sex life is, you know, go to the dark side and try to get your wife involved over here. It's the opposite. The way to have great sex is go to the bright side and pray and be righteous. I'm not talking about legalistic. I'm talking about the more you create an atmosphere of spirituality and purity, the more your wife will open up to you sexually. And this is what happened in our relationship, Karen. That was immoral. I mean, I was just terrible. And when we got married, my concept of marriage, sex, and everything was so polluted. But I remember that when I began to pray with you, your response to that was so shocking to me, not just in our relationship, but sexually and physically. So the area of spirituality is so huge in that. And I'm going to go back to something you just said, and that is, don't push your husband into it. And don't browbeat him if he doesn't do it. But do let him know that it's something that you would like for him to do. And, you know, just let your husband, you know, gravitate to that on his own. But to all the men, it is a big deal when you pray with your wife.
That's good. Okay, here's a question for you. What if my wife and I don't share the same dream concerning family and having kids? We've talked about this for years and still have different opinions. From Alex in Washington.
Well, we teach people how to have a vision retreat where you go away once a year and you 2 or 3 days, 4 days alone, and in the morning you wake up and you talk and pray about every important issue in your life. And then the rest of the day you have fun. Now, Alex said something extremely important, and I appreciate Alex writing that question in. My wife and I have different dreams, but God only has one. See, the question is, why did God put you together? That's the question. Why did God put you together? And if you don't know the answer to that, you really can't find your way. But we have a vision retreat resource called The Mountaintop of Marriage that you can see on our website, marriageday.com. But that helps you to prepare to go on a vision retreat. It's not a matter of you winning or your wife winning. It's a matter of God winning. It's not a matter of me enforcing my dream on you or your dream on me. It's a matter of us finding God's dream. And you go away and you say, Lord, we have ideas, we have desires, but we're bringing this marriage to you and we're submitting this marriage to you and we're saying, would you help us as we talk and as we pray, would you help us to find your dream? Why did you put us together? What is it that we're trying to accomplish? When you answer the big questions, and that's the biggest one, why did you put us together? What is our purpose together in life? When you answer the big questions, the little questions answer themselves. But when you haven't answered the big questions, you get down here in the fray of the smaller questions and you just can't find the answers. And so get a vision, have a vision retreat. Take 2 or 3 or 4 days. It is critical to your marriage. We do it regularly. We've done it many times. But before we had done our first one, we had issues that we chronically fought about. Money, our kids at that point, schedule. Weren't knockdown, drag-out fights, but they were fights and tension. Great question, Alex. And I hope that that helped you and everybody else that's watching right now. We're able to come to you because of a very special group of people called our Rock Solid Partners. You know, television is very expensive. And people have said to us before, you know, well, why do you do television? Why don't you do radio or something? Because television is the most powerful medium in the history of the world. And God has called us to television. We love reaching people and helping them with the good news that every person can succeed in family and marriage relationships. They just need the right information. We hope that this program touches you and blesses you. And if it does, would you stand with us financially? We have a group of people called our Rock Solid Partners that stand with us every month financially. Very important to this ministry, us being able to come to you and go to people around the world. Would you consider being a partner with us in this ministry? Here's how you can do it.
Everywhere you look, marriages and families are under attack. What God intended as a fundamental blessing to society has been reduced to a coin flip, with 50% of marriages ending in divorce. Children are being raised in broken homes. Young men and women are questioning the value and purpose of marriage. These are our neighbors, our friends, our family. We are all affected by this stark reality. But it doesn't have to be this way. God did not create marriage to fail. And regardless of how dark, how difficult it may seem, with the right teaching, the right training, the right commitment, every marriage has a 100% chance of success. Marriage Today is committed to sharing this message of hope with men and women around the world, providing a wealth of biblically based resources through seminars, CD and DVD series, television broadcasts, and much more. Join us by becoming a rock-solid partner today. Together, we can help shape the future of marriage in America and across the globe. Choose the partnership level that's right for you. For $14, $28, or $56 per month, you can get the tools you need to succeed in marriage, including online access to the Dream Marriage Library, CD and DVD lessons shipped to your door, and exclusive partner perks. And if you become a rock-solid partner at the $28 or $56 per month level, you'll receive the Every Great Marriage video series and the Mountaintop of Marriage as our special gifts. Join us as we work to rebuild the foundation of family. Become a rock-solid partner today.
Welcome back. This program is on spiritual and physical intimacy, and it comes from the series. The teaching that I did earlier is from Return to Intimacy. And in that series, we talk about anger, we talk about dominance, we talk about fear, we talk about a lot of things that relate to intimacy. And this particular teaching is from, a teaching that just talks about the 4 different elements of intimacy in marriage. We're talking here about spiritual and physical. But Karen, just for all the guys watching, and ladies too, but there's a connection between those two. Mm-hmm. In other words, you don't just have sex over here or physical intimacy, and then the spiritual aspect of your relationship is separate. Mm-hmm. It's really, God made us to where we're mm-hmm. spiritual and physical at the same time.
Well, just from the letters, like I said before, that we get from women, the number one is that they wish their husbands were the spiritual leaders.
Right.
And that says a lot. They're not saying they wish their husbands were the sexual leader. They're saying they wish he was a spiritual leader. And there's something that a woman needs from a man that is so important. God made man to represent Christ.
That's right.
And there's just more to it than us just wanting it. It's something about the way they were made. And I just think it's so important. And the other thing is, there's nothing to fear. If you haven't done it, and don't judge it until you've done it, and then do it with faith. It's not going to happen overnight. It's something that you're going to have to continue to do and be faithful in. And I promise you will see results.
That's very, very good. And we hope you have wonderful passion and intimacy in your marriage. See you next time. God bless you.
Thank you for watching Marriage Today with Jimmy and Karen. Support Marriage Today with your best gift and receive the series Return to Intimacy. Follow your interests and get social by connecting with Jimmy and Karen and the Ministry of Marriage Today on Twitter. And don't forget, become a rock-solid partner and receive the Dream Marriage Library. There's a rock-solid partner level to fit every need.
This program is made possible by the generous support of our faithful partners.